Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. I am indeed the one who infiltrated you guys now, right? HR is everywhere and you cannot escape us. But yes, thank you for having me here. Today, I wanted to chat to you about my adventures in how I think I am now the terrorist for the North Koreans, honestly. But I have been progressing. I have been getting some better meta candidates, with better acting abilities. So let me tell you about that. So first of all, to properly introduce myself, thank you, by the way, Sam, for giving me this introduction. But indeed, I'm somebody who's been working kind of HR and recruitment for around about 12 years at this point. And specifically within tech for closer to about 8 of those years. And I'm indeed noticing that there is just a lot more, a massive influx of candidates, of course. And through those, I noticed that a lot of them do not exist. So what I do is I try to save my team's time, because we do need genuine people when it comes to either be software engineers. Currently, I'm trying to hire a design engineer, if anybody knows, holla. But what I am not, however, is somebody who, I'm not an engineer myself. I try to tinker. I may be running Arch Linux, but that doesn't mean anything, right? So ultimately, what I have to do is I have to rely on, the experience that I have seeing, believing my own eyes, hopefully. And it has become a little bit more difficult, but specifically what has become a little more difficult is that these people are spraying and praying. So let me show you a little bit more about what their equipment is, what my equipment is, what I'm currently doing, and what I would like to invite you guys all to think about. So, number one, let's talk about their equipment, which I have noticed from, I want to say, about 30 to 40 conversations with very, very obviously fake candidates, right? Number one, they do actually have real accounts from LinkedIn. So some of you may think, oh, just check their LinkedIn. If it doesn't exist, it's not that easy. Not only do they have fake accounts, they also have verified by persona, supposedly, fake account, like either real accounts they have either stolen, or they take one account and they put it onto another platform. So I have messaged some people to be like, hey, did you actually apply for our role? And they're like, I don't know who you are. So what they do is they have a whole bunch of ways to either steal the information, steal legit, accounts. I'm not quite sure how they do it, but yeah, initially I thought, oh, you know what? I'm just going to check if they have it. Yes, they do. They have verified accounts. Then the next thing that they also have is sometimes they do have pretty bad digital masks. It is kind of hilarious to see. Let's face it, especially for the North Koreans, their ping is not great. So when they're the thing that the dips are off. So I think what ended up happening is over the time, they kind of just stopped using it, but sometimes they'll still have it, that sort of uncanny valley look. Then they either have, they are equipped though. They are equipped. They have a very nice headset looking thing. Sometimes some of them, I guess, like the lower level people have little white earbuds and a stand mic with like a little red ring on it. As soon as I see that setup, I'm like, oh, sweetie, you're not one of the top ones, and I'm not going to have fun with this call. God damn it. They do have very comfortable looking chairs, very great padding, ergonomics, all of that good stuff. I'm like, I don't know who you guys are, but, I guess in your regime, you're the respected ones. They managed to get the comfy looking chairs. They do have pretty poor, but improving research when it comes to the kind of profile they're pretending to be, the kind of technologies they're pretending to have experience with, the kind of companies they've pretended to work for, and, companies like, research about my company where I work. So it is improving slowly, or I don't know, as I said, I think I'm just getting the better actors. But this is the thing that I really want to encourage people, is to have a bit of a think about what else is next if their research gets a lot better. Then their fluctuating acting ability. So some of them get very, very easily flustered. And here's the hilarious thing. So as you may have recognized by my name, I am originally I'm not British, so I'm originally from Bulgaria. And it is quite hilarious when I get North Koreans pretending to be Serbian, Bulgarian, Polish. They genuinely love pretending to be Eastern Europeans. So sometimes I literally go, oh, you're from Poland, dzień dobry. oh, you're from Serbia, zdravo komšija, you know, stuff like that. And you can see the light just dimming. You know, they were trying to be so brave. They were really trying to put it on. And you'll see later on, I do have videos. Hopefully it works, but you'll see later on some people are great at acting and some people are not. Bless them. I'm like, oh, I feel bad. I'm kind of bullying these people, you know? I'm really kind of, you know, basically, you know, displaying them their open glaring, you know, in the open glaring holes in their research. They do, however, have, I don't know whether it's ChatGPT or whatever it is, but they're obviously reading their answers. And some of them, because of course it takes a couple of seconds, you know, sometimes up to about 10 seconds for the answer to appear. And some of them literally just sit quiet, staring me right in my digital eyeballs. And some of them have, oh, that's a great question. Thank you so much for that thing. I really appreciate it. Buying time. And then they just type out, well, you know, they just spit out whatever it is, especially considering the specific company I work for has like a very specific technology that we really work with, which is GraphQL. The amount of times I've heard GraphQL said by these people, I'm just there like, I don't even think very GraphQL specific engineers talk about it as much as you do. So bless them again, they do try. And then really spray and play applications. I want to congratulate AI for really helping out these people. They're absolutely able to pray and spray applications no matter how many questions we put in, no matter what we try to do. Like, I want to say that for one of the front-end engineer roles that we had, 85% of every single application I managed to kind of recognize by certain things, which I'll go into a bit more detail about, that they were fake. 85%, that was a lot of them. But again, and I'm pretty sure I also spoke with one person twice, like the same guy. So they are pretending to be different people. One person was pretending to be the Spanish guy called Borja. And I was ready to be like, hola, Borja, ¿qué tal? And he dialed in with the name Petar. And I was like, oh, a different person dialed in. I hung up, I emailed Borja, I don't know what happened. I guess you couldn't join the call, but somebody else hacked in. What happened? And he goes, Petar is my middle name. Great. Good on you, lad. And then I was like, aha, you guys are just spraying and praying applications. So congratulations, AI. Thank you so much for helping out. And again, I swear I'm not an AI Luddite. I swear I am not. I try not to be, but in like the whole AI race of like candidates and companies and stuff like that, no one's winning. I can tell you, no one's winning. However, let me tell you about my equipment. I have eyeballs and ears. Now, this is going to sound very prejudicial. And I know coming from HR, oh my God. But I know that there are very, very few people that have incredibly Korean Asiatic features in Eastern Europe. Don't get me wrong. Very funnily enough, in a village very close to me, where I'm from in Bulgaria, it's literally called the Kazakhs, the village itself, because in the 1800s, there were around about 3,000 people that had moved from Kazakhstan to Bulgaria. Now, did every single one of them go and become a software engineer? I've been in that village. No, it did not. That's not how it's going on. So I do have eyeballs and ears. I can hear accents. I can tell that these people are not who they say they are immediately. I also do happen to speak quite a few languages, which, as I mentioned before, it does end up to trip them up. It is my favorite way to trip them up. I have learned a whole bunch of how to say hello and a bunch of stuff. Also, if you ever happen to, think that you're speaking to a North Korean and you have potentially confirmed it, dongmu means comrade. Their eyeballs do pop. So when you say that. And yes, I actually had somebody that I was like, oh, again, Polish person. I was like, oh, dzień dobry. Started talking to him in Polish and, some of the stuff that I learned. And he goes, I would like to remain professional and speak in English. Oh yeah, I was getting red. I was like, oh, man called me unprofessional. Not a great call if you want to get a job, sweetie, but okay. Then I also have better knowledge of, first of all, the companies they pretend to work. A lot of them have pretended to work at Amazon. I guess they feel that is like their thing. And my favorite thing is to ask them, so what level engineer are you? Now, if any of you are not familiar with Amazon, engineering starts from level 4. Anything level 1, 2, and 3 is warehousing. I worked at Twitch before, so I'm quite aware of how it works. So I love asking them, are you a level 2 or a level 3 engineer? They, of course, choose level 3. Of course, they choose level 3. They have to be pretending to be the more senior one. So I have better knowledge of the companies they pretend to be working at. I do research that quite a bit. It does take time, but you kind of have to do that. I also have a better understanding of the technologies. Again, the amount of people that have pretended GraphQL is used in every single company that have worked, the amount of spraying and praying of GraphQL that there has been in those CVs. Oh my goodness. You would think that, you know, the company where I work should be swimming in money managing the GraphQL stuff. So yeah, this was lovely to see. And it's honestly, it's one of the major reasons why I keep now being able to, I'm now more and more able to identify them at CV stage. I don't even chat to these people anymore, although I should. And yeah, the West / the world. I just happen to know a bit more about the world, especially with the North Koreans. Now, there are some people out there that are from other places, pretending again to be people from other nationalities and stuff like that. But specifically with the North Koreans, it is hilarious to try and get them to be like, oh, you're in Dublin. Oh, whereabouts in Dublin are you? Are you in X district? I don't know any districts in Dublin. And the way they go, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, oh, do you go to this cafe often? Yeah. I've been to Dublin once, maybe 10 years ago. I don't remember anything. All I remember is that Mongolian barbecue place that like everybody ends up going to. It was all right. So yeah. And that leads me to the last one, lies. I love lying to these people. It is so much fun because they're like the first versions of GPT. They're the sycophantic, they're agreeing with me all the time. I'm like, I love it. I love this thing. So yeah. Now, do I use every single one of these tools? No, of course not. Sometimes I do get also a bit more like, oh, do you know what? I can't even bother with this person. So I don't use every single one of these. I just quickly screen them. And the other thing that I also do is I don't use them immediately. Because ultimately what you don't want to do is you don't want to fall into the trap of actually stereotyping somebody who might be from maybe South Korea or somewhere else, who might be genuinely living in another place, right? So it's not a one size fits all. So I want to talk to you about some of the interactions of note that I've had, which are the most hilarious one. This one is going to be, you'll get to see him later, but I get the feeling, again, I can't pin, but I get the feeling this person was maybe from like Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, something like that. Pretend to be in Staffordshire, you know? And I was like, oh, okay, what's going on there? And you'll see later he pretended to be, you know, a whole bunch of other things. And I just ran laps around this guy. And it was so hilarious that genuinely at one point his internet gave out with how much he was laughing. And I was laughing. And we both knew we were having fun, you know. I wish he didn't waste half of an hour of my time, but sure. Then this one was a very interesting one. I had to follow him around quite a bit. So had a legit LinkedIn profile. It was supposedly a Japanese person. Sometimes they do use Asian founding names to give them plausible deniability that they're from somewhere in Asia when they kind of look. So he studied in Bulgaria. I'm like, jackpot, hello. Let me tell you something. In Bulgaria, there are very, very few universities that will allow you to study in English. There are some, more and more are coming up. But in the time that he was pretending to have studied like 15 years ago, there were very, very few. And also in Bulgaria, you cannot have lived there for 5 years and have survived without learning a lick of Bulgarian. I'm sorry, that's just, I refuse to believe it. And he was now living in Poland for the last 15 years or so. Didn't speak a lick of Polish, didn't speak a lick of Japanese, didn't speak a lick of Bulgarian. Again, I just love that. He was, I think, I thought I made him cry at one point, but I was like, okay, I'll let you go now. You carry on, you're living your life. Oh yeah, and then some of the ones, they don't really know how to pronounce their names in the supposed local language. So there was a Romanian guy who was, in Romanian, the name would be Marcel, if it's with a C. However, he was introducing himself as Marcel. I'm like, oh, sweetie, you can do better. Like, just go on. You have evidently access to the internet. You're one of the very few people in your country that has access to the internet. Surely you can go and research how to pronounce this name in this language. There are plenty of videos. And the last one, that dude didn't even try. So somebody named Dorota was meant to, for those of you not aware, that's a very strongly women's name in most of the Eastern European region. The most sleepy sounding man appeared in front of me. Now, that was just, I was like, dude, do you not have any girls? I feel sad. Isn't the whole thing of North Korea meant to be, equality and socialism? And bear in mind, I come from an ex-socialist country. Equality is that. There's a lot of female engineers in Bulgaria. But what the hell, man? You don't even try it. Am I not worth the effort? How dare you? How dare you? So now we're having all the fun, right? I'm having all the fun. However, here are some unforeseen consequences of what this is all leading to. Because let me tell you something. HR is not responding well. First of all, some of you, I'm seeing some familiar faces. Some of you may have been at DC 4420, where I gave like a similar version of this talk, like a shorter version of this, where at the time I was not really aware of what's happening, but no one in HR is talking about this. No one is trying to protect themselves. Everyone is suffering in silence. I thought it was predominantly for roles that are remote. Turns out not the case. I have a friend of mine in Bulgaria who literally has roles that are hybrid, and he has a bunch of people pretending to be Bulgarians applying. I'm like, brother, how do you think this is going to work out for you? So what's happening at the moment is that, for us, we in HR, as you very well know, very often, if you're a hammer, every problem is a nail. So for us, we only have very specific tools that we can think of protecting ourselves. Number one is longer interviews, just putting people through the gauntlet. I mean, this is in general, that's been happening. Again, you can see also my inner monologue on the side. I hate long interviews. I do not like 3 stages. If you don't know enough, move on, long interviews. But also convoluted applications, because we're trying to get rid of the whole maybe if we can ask them specific questions, we can catch them out, maybe we can catch the M dashes in their AI generated, but everyone at their grandma is AI generating the questions, the answers to the questions now in the applications. So it's kind of useless to actually do this because no one is reading those. I'm sorry, in this day and age, just a quick tip from me, if somebody's asking you for a cover letter, go and ask them why. Because I can tell you, very few people are reading those. I'm not reading those, but I don't require them. Then really diabolical tests and challenges, trying to get people to be like, okay, you need to have a monitored, proctored task, and then you're going to do a live coding challenge, and then you're going to do this other thing. And it just becomes, again, like an absolute gauntlet to get any job. So this is impacting all of us, regardless of the role, regardless of whatever. This is impacting everybody. Proctored interviews are becoming another thing where literally there are 3 companies that have tried to sell me solutions to be like, ooh, when you have a candidate do a coding interview, we're going to get them to download something onto their platform, onto their own PC to monitor what they're running. So I don't know about you, but I don't want stuff rummaging around in, what I'm running, what websites I'm visiting and stuff like that. And then, that leads to a lot of privacy invasion. Realistically speaking, that's the only way at the moment that I am seeing HR tech solving this. It's like a whole bunch of, when you apply, you verify your identity. As we saw with LinkedIn specifically, that's not always working, which I asked one of them and they did not have an answer. I said, what about persona? All of these, profiles are supposed to be verified. What's happening? Or again, very close system monitoring. So if we don't want to give away a lot of our privacy in order just to have the right to have a job, this is kind of where, I think we really need to have a bit more of a general think about what we can do to avoid these, because ultimately what is happening is that it is wasting my time to eventually be able to review your applications. I don't know, I haven't hired anybody in cybersecurity in a while, but in general. So what to do? Now, there is no silver bullet. Here are some of my stuff and some of the things that I think very technical people can help out non-technical people, right? Now, I really read through the CV as much as possible. As I mentioned, if I see keywords spraying and praying, I'm like, really? Really? You use all of this tech? I try as much as possible to find exactly what the tech stack is of each company. It's not always available, but I do try. But sometimes if I'm not sure, I literally go up to one of the engineers and I'm like, does this pass the smell test? Like, is this how these things are used? Because very often it does write such utter nonsense. Like the AI generated interviews are such utter nonsense. So if you ever, get a thing, just, if you, especially working in a company that has maybe like an HR team, just be like, hey, do you need any help reading CVs? Just go volunteer like half an hour at a time, help them be like, that's bullshit, that's not real, what's going on there? Help them identify this, because ultimately, again, we're not techie people, we have other skill sets. Then again, the experiences that you graduate, as I said, this one person pretended to have done GraphQL at every single job, and he was like, at Amazon and at a company where I've worked again. And I'm just like, there's no way you've done GraphQL everywhere. Please calm down. And then this is the thing. You try to catch them in verifiable lies. like with the Amazon thing that I mentioned previously, right? You try to catch them in the verifiable lies because otherwise you're operating in the sense of, oh, I'm assuming this is not, you know, like I haven't verified this. I don't know if this is the case, right? Language check, always helpful if you just speak a bunch of languages, or even if you don't, just saying like sometimes like hello in supposedly what's meant to be their own language, always helpful, always drains the blood from their face. And again, this is the thing, this is probably one of the major reasons why I'm talking about these things. I just want this to be shared. I share with my own team all the time. I'm like, hey guys, guess what? Here's a chat that I had today. Here's what's been going on. And the team, first of all, we all have a bit of a laugh. Secondly, they later on know what to watch out for. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I do have a thing of, our COO kept asking, oh, say Kim Jong-un, tell them to tell you Kim Jong-un is stupid. Now, this is why I don't like doing this. I have come across people who genuinely were Korean, living in Germany, immediately set off alarm bells, has worked in GraphQL, a legit candidate. Same with somebody who was a Japanese person living in the US, has lived in Poland before, all confirmed. Global citizens exist. Let's not get them to be like, oh, you're supposedly a Korean person. So tell me Kim Jong-un is stupid. That is incredibly biased, and that's where HR is going to knock down on your door to be like, are you discriminating against people? What's happening here? So this is why you try to catch them on the facts. You can have fun with the languages. You can have fun with those sorts of things. You can have your team, like HR team, have fun with those things. But in general, this is not how to try and catch people. And the other thing that I also learned as well, and this one is my bad for anyone that later on might get fooled by this, do not correct them with specifics. I did that. I did the whole Amazon thing. I was like, you're not a level 3 engineer. That's not how it works. And then the next person, I guess they're in the same room, heard about this, had a conversation with me. I'm a level 4 engineer now. I didn't even give them level 4 as an option. So these are the kinds, don't correct them with specifics. They will learn. They will make notes of this. So, you know, just as a heads up there. And here's some of the stuff as of yet unsolved. Again, I don't know how much each of you can potentially help with these things, but you know, what can be done to verify these things without disrupting candidate experience? Because ultimately, you can create all of these hooplas and checks and balances and all of these things, but ultimately, it's going to make you guys as candidates, anybody here job searching, I've been through job searches myself, I've been on the other side, it is an absolute nightmare because of all of these things. And again, some of you might be wondering, why do I have to do 100 different things, right? Partly, very big reason is this, right? Very big reason is because we're trying to catch out the people for whom this is like, they're looking for an opportunity to enter into a company, especially if you ever work in like a company that does infrastructure and stuff like that, it's gonna happen. Then the other thing is that I have my time wasted. I could spend that time speaking, having genuine conversations with, you know, the tech community as candidates. Now my time is wasted with these people. And then again, the last thing that I personally am very concerned about is how do we make sure we do this without making people to be like, okay, before you interview with us, here are, you know, you need to solve this riddle and you need to go and do this cryptography. Like, this is not Cicada, okay, from back in the day. Like, this is just a normal job. I am not giving you some sort of, you know, riddle, like I'm not a sphinx, you know, it really shouldn't be this difficult. You shouldn't have to give away so much of your data and disrupt your own privacy, really, to just be able to apply for a job. So these are, honestly, I can tell you, HR is not going to solve this, sadly. None of us are. We are not equipped with the information. I know my own limitations, okay? So here are some guest stars. Let's see how the audio is going to work on this. Yes. Is this also going to, does need to be there? Well, let's do that. I think we figured it out.
I see you are in Staffordshire right now. Are you local from Staffordshire?
No, actually, my parents moved from Poland. So basically, you know, we're Polish. Shifted, migrated from Poland to England.
Ah, Poland. Dzień dobry.
Well, anyway, shifted in the, I just learned English and a little bit Spanish. Well,
podemos hablar en español, ¿por qué no? ¿Por qué no? Podemos hablar en español, ¿no? Yeah, we were there during the day and it was really, really nice. So yeah, you might see like, I'm jealous. As somebody who's from Bulgaria, I'm very jealous of you guys as well.
But I'm jealous of you. But also I wanna get a chance to work with your beautiful team lead and HR team.
Funnily enough, my partner is from CPU. So, you know, basically I do spend a lot of time in Romania. I myself, you know, from the border, I'm from Bulgaria, so I'm from the border. And from what I understand, you still have moved from Sibiu to Bucharest, is that correct?
Yeah, so correct.
Okay. Would it be more comfortable for you if we also switch to Romania? Like, I'm happy either way.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I will thank you, but yeah, I really first that to thank. I'm totally fine coaching in English. I'm used to working with international teams days. So it feels natural for me. But if at any point you prefer to switch to Romania, I'm perfectly compatible with that user.
All right. I'll tell you what. Unfortunately, it is the end of the day here. I have to tell you that I personally think that you may not be the person that you pretended to be on YouTube, because you don't know where Intercom are based. You don't know that Intercom don't offer remote positions in Ireland. Considering that I have worked at Intercom myself, so I don't think that who you say you are, who you say you are. Have a good morning over there. Take care.
Korean.
인터컴이라는 회사에서 마지막 일했다고 썼는데 거기서 리모트 하나인데 약간 거기서 일했다고 그래서 인터컴은 이거 리모트가 그렇게 뭐 리모트 하여를 안 하는데 리모트 하였다고 맞습니다. 나도 생겼다.
Thank you, Chico.
있어다고. 아이는 들어다.
Rightio. So our guest stars, ladies and gentlemen, our guest stars. This, honestly, I did like a supercut of this, like slightly longer, as a Christmas present for our team. They were like, this is the highlight of the year. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it too. And I think it was quite important as well to get this confirmation. We actually, funnily enough, in my team have somebody who speaks Korean. And it was kind of funny because he immediately recognized this is definitely North Korean dialect. It is absolutely confirmed 100%. So I wasn't just going off of like, oh, you know, because North Korea is like in the news now. I wasn't kind of imposing origin onto these people, because my colleague actually thought that potentially these could be, those people that are kidnapped for pig butchering scams and stuff like that. So my colleague, when she was talking to these people, she was taking the much more compassionate approach. I'm a very mean person, so that's why I just decided to have fun, because I know that honestly, the pig butchering scam is so much more like low. It's different effort, and it is a lot easier to, I think, execute at a level that is not state sponsored. Let's put it that way. So that's why I was under the impression. And then these people, thank goodness they don't know how to hang up. And by the way, this afterwards continued for another like at least 20 seconds. But of course, there wasn't anything interesting that happened. There was no random guy coming off screen scratching his butt. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to me ramble.